Are you scared? Are you worried? I don't know about you guys, but I am damn near terrified. I have been watching the mainstream media all week, and they have got me worried about the crisis. They have me worried about the existential threat to American democracy. Even though America isn't a democracy, it's never been a democracy, that does not change the fact that Uncle KC is dirtying up his toot of the looms. According to the mainstream media, we are in serious danger of losing our mythical democracy. The White House has turned into the Orange Grove because, according to the media, the biggest threat to mythical democracy is Orange Man bad. You know, crisis creates pressure, and people respond to pressure differently. In most cases, you'll respond to pressure by defaulting to what's most comfortable. For example, if you watch bad NBA teams in crunch time, they often abandon their offense to run ISO. They'll be moving the ball throughout the game, the offense will be fluid, but during the final minutes of the fourth quarter where every possession counts, they abandon their offense and they default to what's most comfortable, losing. It's the same thing in the mainstream media. The media wants to pretend that the Trumper in the White House is a crisis. During his first term, the media figured out an effective way to respond to the orange crisis. Demonization. They demonized the Trumper. They relentlessly investigated him looking for something, anything to use against him. When they couldn't find anything salacious, they started making shit up. They impeached him. They invented the illusion of Russian collusion. And if you had the audacity to defend the Trumper, they relied on the woke commandments and filed charges of mythical racism. They would label you homophobic. He's a Trump supporter, so that must mean he's afraid of gay people. I have never understood their obsession with phobias. It's just weird. Remember when the Lizzo was preaching body positivity? Credit to the Lizzo, by the way. She finally realized that the lifespan of people the size of Shamu is short. The last update I saw on the Lizzo, she was taking her health seriously and she had dropped 50, 75 pounds. Good for her. But when deacons at Woke United Methodist were preaching body positivity, if you criticized them for being the size of a bus, they accused you of being fat phobic. He's afraid of body positivity, Willie! Why in the hell would anyone be afraid of Big Will? If he threatens you, all you gotta do is walk towards the nearest Whole Foods and he'll never catch you. During his first term, the demonization of the Trumper, it worked. It was so effective, they were able to convince half the country to vote for a president who thought his wife was his husband. So it's understandable why the media would rely on their previous tactics to fight this pretend crisis. They are comparing the Trumper to Adolf. They are claiming that Trump is a tyrannical dictator. Instead of coming up with something new, instead of combining their collective brain cells to formulate new lies, they are relying on the same bullshit. Problem is, it no longer works. Ratings are plummeting at CNN. MSNBC is firing people every day. After eliminating the woke welfare for the Wicked Weave and her entire staff, the following day, MSNBC started firing people on Rachel Maddow's staff. But the difference between now and 2016, 2020, conservative voices are willing to speak up. Normal people have been empowered. Normal people are no longer afraid of the phobic labels. Normal people are no longer afraid to speak the truth. And when the wanker spankers are hit with the truth, they don't know how to respond. Last night on CNN, the truth was so overwhelming for some doofus named Toure, he was literally scared into silence. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. This morning on the second channel, talked about my Saints being at war with their own fan base. They proudly announced yesterday that they were bringing Donnie Carr back to New Orleans next season. You know, I have lost hope with the Saints. I'm starting to hate my own team. I explained why this morning, so head over to the second channel and check it out. How many of you guys are familiar with Toure Neblet? Or maybe it's Tory, Tommy, Tulip? Who cares? It doesn't matter what his name is. Toure is a contributor at CNN, which is probably why no one's ever heard of him. Last night, he was part of a 6-person panel on Abby Phillips' Primetime Dump. Obviously, with this being CNN, 5 of the 6 people, they were unknown. Hell, even the producers have trouble identifying them. At one point, they put the dude named Toure on screen. Graphic pops up where they usually display their name and occupation. Damn graphic said, insert name here. The only recognizable face on the panel belonged to Scott Jennings. Now, for reasons unknown, Scott Jennings still doesn't have his own show at CNN. This dude is literally the only star at the network. Caitlin Collins, Katie Roo, Katie Roo. For the better part of 2 years, The Roo has tanked the primetime lineup at CNN. Wolf Blitzer, woof, woof, woof. Wolf Blitzer was underperforming so bad, CNN, they had to move him to morning television. Andy Cooper is struggling. Abby Phillip, she has consistently outperformed on her own show. Hell, the only time I ever mention Abby Phillip is when we're talking about Scott Jennings. Abby Phillip is supposed to be the star, and she is consistently outshined by Scott Jennings on her own show. Yet for some reason, CNN hasn't given Scott Jennings a chance in prime time. Doesn't make sense to me, but what the hell do I know? I'm not driving this bruised caboose directly into the big stiffy. Every time I see Scott Jennings on this network, it's like he's a man amongst boys. Or in the case of CNN, Scott Jennings is a man amongst boys pretending to be girls. Last night, the dude named Toure, he was trying to spread fear by claiming that the Trumper is a tyrannical dictator. He's using the FBI to prosecute criminals. He's using ICE to deport innocent people who are here illegally. He's taking over the military. I'm so scared. Male Tory also claimed that the Trumper is silencing the media. The Trumper is not silencing the mainstream media. The audience is. The mainstream media hasn't been silenced. They are just being ignored. As Mel Tory was bloviating, Scott Jennings, he sat back and he just let him go. Because Scott Jennings knew that this doofus was humiliating himself with his ignorance. Tory claimed that the Trumper was going to put someone in charge of the military, and that someone was going to trample on the Constitution. Now you gotta remember, these are the same people that constantly claim that the Trumper is a tyrannical dictator. How many dictators do you know of that relinquish control? How many dictators give someone else their power? Scott Jennings confronted Tory with his stupidity, and Tory had no idea how to respond. Pay very close attention to his facial expression when Scott Jennings hits him with the truth. Watch for yourself.
The FBI, now we're in control of the military,
Yes.
silencing media.
Chief,
This is
head of
what
the
you
military.
do
It's a
in a
great part of
dictatorship.
Are
This
you
is not.
suggesting that the president is not the commander-in-chief of the military?
I am suggesting that the president is going to put in charge somebody who is going to contravene the Constitution. And at some near point, this conversation will look very silly for you because it will be obvious. And right now, you're gaslighting. But when we get to the actual rubber of the road of this, it will be clear.
I'm interested in this conversation. He's going to put someone in charge who will contravene the Constitution. Like who? What do you mean by that? The president is in charge of the military, is he not? You said he's going to put someone in charge of the military?
The president is in charge of the military. That is how it works.
This is important conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm letting you have it.
I hate that damn word, gaslighting. That word is so overused, and it's mostly used by people who are losing an argument. They accuse you of gaslighting, and they have no idea what the hell it even means. But as you saw in the clip, Toure has absolutely no idea how the federal government works. This is who CNN calls an expert. This is who CNN relies on to educate their audience. Some doofus who has no idea that the president is in charge of the military. I mean, he is literally called the commander-in-chief, or as Toure would call it, the commander-in-guardian. Who do you think he was commanding? How does a so-called expert not understand basic civics? The media puts these so-called experts on television and they flaunt their PhDs. Hey friends, it's me, Toure. I have a PhD in gender studies and a master's in baiting. My friends call me Dr. Masturbator. You know, it used to actually mean something when you had a PhD. It used to carry a level of respect and notoriety, but now, anytime someone tells me they received their PhD from Woke U, the only thing it tells me is that they're indoctrinated. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars paying some other dumbass to make them a dumbass. Earlier this month, CNN featured another indoctrinated PhD who claimed that 80% of violent crimes in America were committed by white supremacists. Is it any wonder why no one is watching this dump of a network? I have been alive for 40 years. You know how many white supremacists I've met? None! I have never met a white supremacist, but CNN wants me to believe they're a threat to democracy. All right, let me get out of here. I appreciate you guys sticking with me today. I apologize if I seem off. I am battling, I think it's the flu right now. I never take naps. I don't think I have taken a nap since kindergarten. This afternoon, I took a 2-hour nap. I don't mind the not feeling well. I can work through the body aches, the headaches. The struggle for me is I can't think. I put a lot of thought into these videos, and it's just a struggle when I feel like this. Hopefully, though, I'll feel better tomorrow. In the meantime, give me your thoughts on Toure humiliating himself on CNN. Sound off in the comments below, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow.